What's going on? Born for Sports. The OG Knicks fan show has returned as the boys are back from the West Coast and with vengeance tonight as the New York Knicks with a much needed win. Much needed win tonight. There's no way to sugarcoat it. They needed this win for a lot of reasons. We're going to get into the game and everything, but tough West Coast trip. Tough injuries that came along with it. As the biggest story for the past couple of weeks has been Brunson's injury, and word came out today he's going to miss at least 2 more weeks, at least. Probably targeting going forward the playoffs, which is what the smart thing to do. We'll talk about that in a moment. But the Knicks tonight with a big, big win tonight, I thought, for the morale as well. They beat the Heat 116-95 and sweep the season series. Sweep the season series for the first time in 30 years against the Miami Heat. And as an OG Knicks fan, there is no doubt that it always feels good to beat the Miami Heat. To beat the Heat is always a beautiful thing. One of our biggest rivals in forever. And me as a Knicks fan, I'll take that any day. I don't care what their record is. They're playing for the play-in and all of that. So it's good to see the Knicks taking care of business without our captain tonight. Before we get into it, let's check in the comments. Cliff checking in. What's goody, Cliff? What's going on, bro? I know you like that win tonight. I know we got some things we got to talk about tonight about this team that's been going through some things the last couple of weeks, but really good to see this Knicks team go out and take care of business, even without our captain. And it was shaky early in the game, it was, but they took care of business. The classic softball checks in. I thought it was going to be a blowout in the first quarter, but defensively, we got it together. No doubt about it. No doubt about it, Classic. We took care of business tonight. It's my guy Jose as he checks in. Jose, what up, brother? What up, brother? I see you changing things up on me here. Okay, all right. Hey, all good. Yes, it was looking shaky in the beginning, man. Looked like they came out with, I don't know what it was, jet lag. I don't want to use too many excuses, man. They just did not come out well. I think they were down like 12-0 to start the game. And it was 12-0 to start the game or 14-0 to start the game. And I'm just like, what the hell's going on out here? It felt almost like I'm just shaking my head in the couch. I'm just looking like all I could hear is the famous Vince Lombardi with that skit. What the hell's going on out here? But they figured it out. They got it together. And it all started, I got to say this, Cat, he really sparked the team in that second quarter, man, because they did not look back from there. He had 23 points and 7 rebounds tonight, but he had a stretch where the Knicks really, really needed it, man. I mean, Mikal looked like he was the only one that came out that was firing all cylinders to begin the game in that rough first quarter. We were down like 12, 14 points to start the game. But Cat's second quarter really turned it on and turned this game right around. He had 15 straight points, just straight heat check, hitting threes, taking it to the rack, and ones, getting those players, and dominated Bam Adebayo tonight. Dominated him when we really needed it. And the Knicks, that was the turning point of the game because the Knicks really didn't look back from there after that. Really didn't. So it was a good thing that happened. Yeah, 12-0, and they looked lost offensively. No doubt about it. They look bad. It was kind of like everybody was tentative, kind of not really looking for their shot. Everybody was overpassing and turning the ball over, not crisp, move with the ball moving. The spacing wasn't right. And then after that, it was straight. Cat said, "Give me the ball," and that's what you want to see. I know that's what I want to see, especially without the captain there. Okay, we need these guys to step it up, man. Everybody's got to raise their level of play. They went 2-4 on that West Coast trip, and they had a couple of games they basically should have and could have won, man. But they just couldn't finish at the end. Golden State, That game, they should have won that game. I mean, they only gave up 97 points. You got to win that game. And they just couldn't figure it out in the end of the game to get over the hump. You know, and there was a couple of games on it. The Laker game, there was a couple of games they should have won that he did not take care of business. So, listen, when your captain is down, your best player's out, your other best players got to raise the level of play until they get back. And Cat did that tonight. He took over. He straight took over, man. Original captain, Eric, what's good? The orange and blue skies, baby. That's right. We on orange and blue skies tonight. And that's right. Fuck the Heat, baby. Fuck the Heat. It's always good when we see our captain take care of business, bro. And when he's not there, you expect. See, when the captain is there, we expect these kind of games from Brunson. Brunson, this is what he does. This is why he's a superstar. He lifts the team, just like the last time we played the Heat in Miami. Knicks came out similar in that game. They just was not done. They just did not look good in that first half of Miami. But in the second half, captain said, let's go on my back. Tonight was the night that Cat did the same thing and sparked the team in that second quarter, and McCall held it down in the second half. We'll get to him in a minute with all the people who coming at McCall for some reason. But, yeah, we're going to get into that. Yes, sir. Cat was eating, straight eating all day. Bam was food all night. Everything they threw at him, they could not guard this man. And that's the kind of shit, that's the kind of attitude I want to see from Cat more regularly, especially without our captain there. I mean, he's got to be the alpha. I mean, he started the All-Star game. You know, he's an All-NBA player for a reason. And these are the games where the New York Knicks and our fan base, we expect him to be the best player on the floor against teams like that, especially. He was the best player on the floor for most of that first half, man. No doubt about it. Hood Take, my fellow OG Knicks fan, bro. What's good, bro? Hood Take T says, and the bench had great production with the defense and feeding Cat the ball. Yes, we got to talk about this defense, T, for real. And what have we said? The two things that have been the Achilles heel, mostly the Achilles heel of this team has been the bench. It's been the bench. The bench production has been weak. But the defense has let the team down a lot of games. It's been way too inconsistent. They're not as good defensively as they were last year, last couple of years for that matter. Mitch coming into the game, getting his conditioning down, playing more and more has helped, but there's still things that needs to be said and done to get this right. And listen, these last few games, especially on this West Coast trip, man, this defense has been a lot better. That is one thing I will say. It has stepped up the last few games since Brunson has been injured and out of the game. So good to see now the defense on the team raising its level. They're gonna have to get that done too. That's another way you can find a way to get wins without your best player being in this team for a while. That's what you need to happen, man, because it's got to be a collective effort. You know, players like Brunson are not easy. You can't replace those players. And that's why he's the captain. Okay, that's why he's the captain. That's why you have to go out there and everyone has to do it collectively. And I'm glad they've been doing that lately. The results haven't been there the last 6 games coming into tonight's game, but as far as wins goes, but you've seen signs of, hey, you know, there could be something improving there and there and there, here and there, but it came out tonight. They held Golden State to 97 points last game of the West Coast trip, and they lost that game Saturday. Tonight, they held them to 96 points. Good job by that Knicks defense, man, for sure. For sure, you know, so we gotta give credit to where it's due. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come. Cliff also says, I hate the Miami Heat. We should have won the 1997. Oh, man. Man, you taking me there, bro. Eastern Conference semis. Fuck PJ Brown. I'll never forgive David Stern for that BS suspensions. Yeah, I got PTSD from that too, man. I will never forgive the NBA for allowing that fuckery to happen. That was all trying to placate to Pat Riley, okay? Because everyone knew what that was about. Everyone knew what that was about. Everyone knew why Pat Riley and he had those goons in there, PJ Brown, in a blowout when they was about to go 3-1 down. And those BS suspensions about leaving the bench, Never, ever, ever up until that time was ever enforced about leaving the bench when it comes to altercations. But of course, we got to make an example because it's the Knicks and Pat Riley needs his revenge. Fuckery, straight fuckery, no doubt about it. I will always hate the Miami Heat. I will always hate the Miami Heat. No matter, I don't care what their record. They could be 2-80. I still hate them. I still want to smack them every time. I don't care. I'm an OG Knicks fan like yourself. Hey, it is what it is, man. So, the Miami Heat, they've been having our number the last some odd years or whatever, especially with LeBron and the Big Three started that thing. They've had our number. They beat us in the playoffs a couple years back in a series that was winnable, but war of attrition, and they got it done. So I don't care. I'm never gonna feel bad for them. Never. And now every time I see Bam Adebayo with his foolery, what a freaking dirty player he is, bro. What a dirty player Bam Adebayo is. He basically he took out Brunson and Randall a couple years back with his phony oops. I didn't know your ankle was there, guys. Injuring our players. Then last year, when the team was clicking after the OG trade, here comes Jaquez, whatever this rookie Jaquez at the time, nobody. All of a sudden, low Bridges Randall going up in a blowout game, and when they were up 17, game was already undecided. He does a dirty cheap shot. The Miami Heat will always have a place for me in fuckery. I will never like them, especially that Bam Adebayo. What a dirt. And his reputation, not just the Knicks, his reputation around the league, everybody knows what he tries to do to players. And of course, because it's Pat Riley's team, they let him get away with it. Why not, right? Eric says Pat Riley sold his soul for that franchise. He sure did. And even though I have no love lost for Jimmy Butler, I'm glad he basically screwed them over with that by forcing their hand to trade him. I loved every minute of it, man. I tell you, Pat Riley, I loved him as a Knicks coach, but when he left us the way he did and then went and did that shit with the 3-1 lead in 97, getting those suspensions and us losing that series, I will always hate him forever because of that. Always. Yeah, that's right, Cliff. Add to that fuck quest. Hell yeah, bro. We all know what it was, man. That he, that's their culture. And, Spoelstra lets them get away with that shit. And as great a coach as Spoelstra is, he's probably the best coach of the league, in my opinion. That's what the Miami Heat's about. That's what they are. They do dirty-ish. And back in the days, physicality was always Knicks Heat. It was always Knicks Heat, and it was a war of attrition, and it was a straight war every time they played. Now they just try to do dirty shit to everybody, so it's whatever. But I'm glad we beat them tonight. Let's talk about this game. Player of the game tonight, Mikal Bridges. 28 points on 10 of 14 shooting and 13 points in the third quarter, and the Knicks never looked back. He took over in that third quarter. As I said, Cat turned this game around for the Knicks when we were just terrible in that first quarter. He turned the game around in that second quarter when he had that heat check. But in the second half, the Knicks they came out firing. Mikal was aggressive. That's what you want to see. That's what I want to see. I want to see these two players step their game up every night. It's got to be Cat and it's got to be Bridges. Those two guys have to be the focal point of this Knicks offense, in my opinion, because they have the best skill set as far as offensive repertoire to hold this thing down until Brunson get back. Now, OG will give you his good games, but he's got a big assignments most nicely. He's got to guard the best wing player on the other team, And I would say OG is a good offensive player and probably one of the best two-way players in basketball, but Mikal Bridges is capable of a 30-burger any night when he's on his game, and mostly when he's aggressive, when he attacks the rim, and gets to the free throw line. See, a lot of people criticize Bridges or whatever because of the trade or whatever, what they gave up. I don't care about none of junior high schools kids that are going to be future role players. I don't care about that right now. My focus is on the player itself right now, trying to get us wins and get a championship in the future. And I need Mikal Bridges, even when Brunson comes back as well. I need him to be more aggressive sometimes. Sometimes I just think he kind of like just says, I'm okay with being the third scorer as long as Cat and Brunson go off. Sometimes we need you to be that threat too, and especially now that Brunson's not in the game now. Right now, he's out. He's on the sidelines right now. Okay, I want to see more free throws from him. That's my only gripe with Bridges right now is I just need him to be more aggressive offensively and attack the rim more instead of sometimes just settling for these fadeaway J's and stuff. And I love the fact that he has a bag with the midi game. And he can extend to the three-point line, but sometimes we just need you to do more than that and get to the line and be a focal point of this offense because the team, quite frankly, the team needs it right now. They just do. They just do. And OG's had his good games as well. You know, he's doing his thing. But Bridges has a little bit more of an offensive bag that he can explode. You saw it against Portland with that game-winning 3 at the buzzer. He had a 30-burger that night. You saw it. He showed signs. You saw it on Christmas when he went toe-to-toe with Wemby. There's been plenty of games that everyone doesn't want to talk about that he has good games. They only want to talk about the games that he disappears or doesn't have a good game. Of course, you know, they want to do that. But they don't want to talk about the entire situation. You know, him being a third scorer on the team. They think just because we gave up 5 future junior high school role player picks that he's supposed to drop 30 a night. That's not the way it goes. Okay, nobody says you want to give up 5 picks for a guy, but they did. And his role is not to be the guy. It's to be a part of what they already have in place. Now that Brunson's not in the game, he's on the sideline, we got to have him elevate. He's been doing that lately. Okay, he had a real good game the other night, as I mentioned, against Portland on the West Coast trip. Against Golden State, he had a solid game. Could have gave us more in that second half, but it was one of those games that was just a tough sledding for the Knicks to get over the hump. He had a solid game. Tonight, he had a real good game. 28 points on 10 of 14 shooting, 13 in that third quarter. He was very aggressive, and he is my player of the game tonight because, honestly, Cat, most of his damage came in the first half. You know, got into a little bit of foul trouble, whatever, in the third quarter. You know, and because of the way Bridges was attacking and taking care of business, and the team just went from there in the second half and just blew the doors off in the second half. Cat presence wasn't needed that much in the second half. So it was good to see that Mikal Bridges step it up. He's my player of the game tonight, and I want to see more of that going forward. Definitely. As Eric says, Riley leaving was the worst thing that happened to our franchise, low key. Yeah, for sure. For sure. It was because that's what turned it around, because it was like the Knicks were at their peak at that time. They lost that series to Houston in 94 and 7. It was a tough blow. And, you know, the team president, Checkits and Growell, whatever, they didn't want to give Riley more power. And to be honest, he did deserve a little more power at that time, but they didn't give it to him. And Riley said, screw it, I'm out. He had a job waiting for him. He knew that. He used it as leverage. He said, either you give me what I want or I'm taking my show to South Beach. And you know, Knicks made a mistake letting that happen. They should have gave him more power. He deserved it. When Riley got here at the time, he turned the Knicks franchise around from kind of that middling, you know, around the playoff contention into a championship contender. He deserved it, but that's a long story and for another day. History in the books. I don't like him no more. It's the bottom line. What he did with the Heat, I don't like him no more. I respect him. I do. He's definitely one of the greatest of all time in what he does as a coach and as a team president. But I don't like him. He's a Miami Heat. So until my team wins a championship before I die, I'm going to always not like Pat Riley. for those reasons in the Miami Heat. It just is what it is, and I ain't got no shame about it. Eric says to Cal Bridges, baby. That's what I'm talking about, man. Every time he took them shots, man, I was loving it, man. I was loving it. Yes, sir. He was. The Knicks were just rolling in the second half, man. Rolling in the second half, and the thing about it is, the largest lead of the game was 27. So it was really a rocking chair game in that second half, man. They really didn't. There was a point in time in this game, they went up on a 39 run. 39 run. Hey, I'll take that every time, baby. Every time. I also want to give a unsung hero shout out to the boy Josh Hart. He had a triple-double tonight and tied Clyde Frazier's team single season record in triple doubles. Listen, we got to give it to the boy, man. That's not easy to do, and he's not even a point guard. He's not even a point guard, man. So I'm sorry. We got to give respect.
I love it.
That is a significant record in New York Knicks history, man. Okay? We all know this. First of all, we all know traditionally those things come from the point guard position. Now you got players like LeBron, Luka, and his triple doubles are more common. But for the Knicks franchise, for our franchise, well, our identity is more about defense, toughness, grit, and rebounding and defense. That's a record that stood for a long time. And you're talking about a Hall of Fame player in Clyde Frazier, and Josh Hart, of all people, tied that record. We got to give respect and a salute to Josh Hart. And listen, I'm going to address it. People was running a little too wild with that little thing they saw on camera with Tibbs and Hart kind of like going at it a little bit with each other on the sideline the other night. Listen, man. First of all, there is not one coach in the league, man, that does not have certain disagreements sometimes fiery in a huddle with his players. So let's not do that. Secondly, Josh Hart is a person who defends Tibbs to the grave for years. They have a very good relationship. People ran with that too much. And I just think it's a non-story. And I think, and I blame Bridges for this as well. And I'm going to tell you why I blame Bridges for that being a story. Because the only reason why it was a story is because the news just broke a day or two before about how McCall went public about the minutes. So it was perfect timing of a clusterfuck for the media to jump on to run with, okay? Because the day before, Mikal Bridges is in the news. And in my opinion, I did not like that. I did not like Bridges bringing that public like that. You address that you keep that in the locker room. I did not like that at all. I just think those type of things you keep in house. You know what the minute police are going to do. You already know what the media is going to run with. The team don't need distractions right now like that, especially when they're trying to figure it out without the captain in the game and available. So I just think everybody ran with that because of what happened with Bridges' comments prior to that day. So they ran with it. So they was like, oh, we get to pile on Tibbs here. Listen, Tibbs is not a perfect coach by no means, okay? He is stuck in his ways with a lot of shit. And honestly, I am not happy. And most Knicks fans that I know are not happy with the fact that he is not playing enough of his young players, knowing that our bench is not a strength. So there's some things here and there that I disagree with what Tibbs does. But one thing I will not do is over-exaggerate something like that with one of his players that loves and defends him all the time. It's a non-issue. It really is. But the media wanted to run with it. And I blame Bridges more for that because of the comments prior to. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? It would be a non-story if it wasn't for the Bridges thing that came out the day before that. Now, one thing I'll say, I'll worry about something like that. Okay, I worry about something like that if it's coming from our captain. You know what I'm saying? Not from Bridges, okay? I'm just not worried about that. Now, Hart is different. Hart loves Tibbs. Brunson loves Tibbs, okay? Well, this team loves the coach. But, there's going to be disagreements with any coach and their players, especially when you're having a tough time, okay? They bounced back tonight and showed they together. They even showed, I saw a clip a little while ago that Tibbs and Hart hugging and laughing with each other, walking to the sideline. Winning cures all, folks. Non-story. So let's put that to bed and let's focus on the real task, and that's getting to the playoffs healthy, all right? Enough of that crap. Enough of that. But I do want to say I did not like Bridges bringing that public like that about the minute thing. He should have kept that in-house. But hopefully, we ain't got to worry about that going forward. And he has actually answered the bell because that night that those things came out with that story that ran from the Post about what Bridges said about the minute stuff, about playing the bench and all that, he went and answered the bell. He had 33 that night and a game-winning 3 on the road in Portland. So I ain't got no beef with him like that, even though I didn't like what happened. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? And he's actually answered the bell since those comments came out. So as my opinion, I'm like this. I'm a results business kind of dude. As long as you showing me and getting the results and pulling your weight, it's whatever. I don't care. As long as the team wins, I don't care. This is something that should be able to bring them closer together and bond and say, okay, let's get focused now. It's getting late early. Playoffs are not that far away. Danny R checking in. What's good, Brody? I'm going to be honest. Our Knicks team will be making the playoffs, but we won't last long and not ready to compete for a chip. Just keeping it 100. Listen, Danny, I ain't mad at you for feeling that way. It's hard to feel that they're past the second round team based on the results. Like I said, I'm a results-based kind of dude. I do think they're capable of beating Boston and Cleveland in a second round matchup if they play consistently, but it doesn't mean it's bound to happen. It doesn't mean it's likely to happen. They have weaknesses. Clearly, Cleveland and Boston teams are just a little notch higher than the Knicks. Now, that doesn't mean they can't get beat in a 7-game series if somebody steps up their game or maybe a player on the other team they playing doesn't play well. It can happen. It's a matchup-based business. Playoffs are about matchups. So I don't blame you for that. It might not be the time for this year for the Knicks to get to that next level because, in my opinion, the thing that's holding the Knicks back from them being better than those teams is the supporting cast around the starting line, which is the bench. That is the thing that is holding us back, the consistency of this team being a championship contender. And, that trade that they made before training camp, when training camp started, it was a trade they had to make. They got an all-NBA player, an all-star player. And listen, you make that trade every time. What they gave up was not better than what they received. But it did affect other things of the team, which is the bench. Once they fix the bench, they will be fine. They will be fine going forward. And I'm going to say it again. I've been saying this for a while. I would not be shocked. If Dante DiVincenzo is a Knick this summer again. I just have this feeling they're going to find a way. They're going to find a way to get him back. And, Leon Rose knows what he's doing. He knows what he has to do in the offseason this summer. All right. Hood take. Preach. Yes, sir. I got to keep it 100 at all times, bro. At all times. It was a non-issue with that heart shit, man. It was a non-issue. Like I said, I just feel like it was exaggerated too much because of the timing of it. It was a perfect storm for the media to just jump on Tibbs because of what happened with the bridge comments in the news prior to. That's all it was, man. And as long as the team steps up and starts to win, that's all that's going to matter at the end of the day, man. Knicks just need to stay together and keep that ish in-house. Going forward. You know what I'm saying? And for what I've seen, they also said that Bridges had a sit down with Tibbs after those things came out, and they clear the air. Hey, let's see what happens. He has been playing the bench minutes more. He's giving them chances. The rotations is starting to extend a little bit, but the inconsistencies of the bench still haven't gone away. So in a way, you can't really blame Tibbs for that, but he can't just say, there's a line he has to walk, basically. Yes, he has a line he has to walk. He can't overplay the guys that matter. He just can't. And he's got to figure that out. But the hard shit, non-issue. But of course, people are gonna run with it. It's just the nature of the beast, man. It's just the nature of the beast. Nature. Okay, let's see another comment. Cliff says 30 points from the bench tonight, 5 assists from campaign. We know it's against the Heat, who right now, but if we get some solid production, we'll figure it out. But you know what? Listen, I'm glad you brought that up because, see, this thing with campaign is, we need him to be more of a facilitator now that Brunson is not around. It can't just be Josh Hart. It can't just be, when he comes in the game, he's got to play more under control and, run the offense a little more now, okay? Because if he's not and he's just going out there chucking shots, Payne is going to be a non-factor. Because if he's not hitting those threes, then what are you doing for the team? Yes, he's pesky defensively, which I do like. He plays defense. He's out there and he's playing hard. I do give him that as usual. And Payne, when he's hot, he can be a spark with that three-point shot when he's on his game. But it's not a consistent thing where he's always got his shot. So you got to be able to facilitate even more now that our captain is not available, man. Because I know one thing. As bad a defender as Kolek as a rookie is, I know if I bring that kid in the game, he's going to facilitate an offense. And that's the bottom line. And I know Tibbs, and that's one of my issues with Tibbs. He has to play his young players on this bench to get that development going and have them and maybe see if you can help the bench a little more, get more production when they need it, okay? This is a perfect time to do it, in my opinion. The Knicks need facilitators now without Brunson around, okay? Now, if Payne is not going to do that, then I got to give that kid a chance. That's just me, though. But I don't know if Tibbs is going to do that because we all know how Tibbs is with his rotations. He doesn't like playing young players, and that's his knock, man. He's got to do that. He's got to do that. We have more than 30 from the bench, but I'm not going to really regard the garbage time points. Yeah, I know there was some garbage time points there, but it's still good to see. Hey, listen, we don't get that kind of production from the bench like that on a consistent basis. So when they come, we got to take it. But I will say they did play good in the second half when the game was when the game was mattering. They did help everybody play their role, especially defensively. They played very well on the second half, the Knicks as a team defensively. But that's what we need, man. That is what we need. We need more of that, man. We need more of that. Because when things started getting crazy, and that first quarter, man.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
I mean, I ain't going front. I had some panic. I was like, what is going on? Did that game with Golden State, did that actually become a hangover thing in the first game? So I ain't go front. I kind of was like, what the hell's going on? But they stepped up in the second half. Man. Another thing I did not like, I do want to say real quick. I did not. You know what? I'll save that for the end of the show. Let's talk about the rest of this game, man. The Knicks also shot 16 of 35 from three, so they did very well. Mikal had a lot of good trades and stuff, so the offense was humming in the second half, especially. But man, this defense to me is the story of the game as a team for the Knicks. They had 12 steals tonight, and they forced 20 turnovers that led to 25 points. The Knicks capitalized on those turnovers, and when they get in turnovers, that's a good sign for the Knicks also, because without Brunson, they got to find a way to manufacture some of that production back to stay on course. And best way to do it is getting turnovers and getting on the break and capitalizing on the turnovers. They did that tonight. This Knicks defense, folks, has been playing much better since Brunson went out. So that's a good sign they stepped up. They're stepping it up out there. Mitch also had a solid game tonight as well. I think he was like 1 rebound shy from a double-double tonight. So, listen, you know how I feel about Mitch. He drives me crazy with the injuries and stuff like that. But shout out to Mitch. Looks like he's getting that conditioning going, and that could be a good plus for us going forward, especially defensively. He altered some shots out there as well. Had a couple of blocks, altered some shots. Good job by him. And good job by this Knicks defense. Very pesky. Clogging them passing lanes, getting them steals and leading. And they also held the Miami to 6 of 23 from 3. Now, we all know the Knicks have not been good against guarding the 3 in the perimeter, man. That is a big bugaboo. It's really been a big bugaboo for this Knicks team for the last few years on the Tips now. Some of it is due to his system or how he plays. He likes to, force teams out on the 3. He prefers to clog the paint, keep the penetrators out. But in today's NBA, when you play certain teams that have those snipers, man, that's not you're feeding right into what they want to play like. And sometimes Tibbs has to make adjustments on that. But tonight, the Knicks defense did very well against the Miami Heat, guarding the 3 tonight. So hopefully a step in the right direction. 97 points to the Golden State Warriors last game on Saturday night. Tonight, they gave up only 95. So that's a good sign, man. That's a good sign. Looking at these numbers, man, they kept Bam in check as well. Bam's a guy we all know. That chucker, Tyler Hero, who never met a good shot he didn't like to take. They held him at bay for 20 points. He was 10 of 18 from the field, but he did not go crazy tonight. That was a good sign for them. Duncan Robinson, he kind of got a lot of his points tonight, but it was mostly that. Bam was held to 5 of 12 to only 12 points tonight. So that was a good sign and a big deal because Cat basically dominated his dirty ass the whole game. Dirty, man, that Bam, he is so dirty. I can't stand watching him, man. I really can't. But good signs by this Knicks defense tonight, man. Good signs out there. Cliff says, next up, yes, sir. There's some games, very winnable games. They got to go out there and take care of business, though. Knicks should not be taking anyone lightly. And those next 2 games are back-to-backs between the Spurs and the Hornets. That Spurs team's going to, they got to go out there and go take care of that. You know what I'm saying? That's a winnable game. Don't play with your food against these teams, man. Go out and go take care of business. No doubt about it. You're right about that, Cliff. So, yeah, I just thought the Knicks defense was really good tonight. Shout out to that Knicks defense. Really stepping it up, playing much better basketball these last 7 games defensively. Let's hope this continues to go forward. So before we wrap up tonight's show, I just want to touch on one more thing that the Golden State game, it was a tough loss. It was a winnable game. But what I took from that, what I did not like was the fact after the game. I did not. Now listen, I understand. The NBA is not what it used to be as far as the rivals and, all these players are friends with each other and all of that. But I just think, in my opinion, that douchebag Draymond Green, to me, I just felt like the Knicks needed to make a statement more so by standing behind their guy and Cat. Knowing he disrespected Cat, I was not happy seeing them dapping up Draymond Green after the game. That's just me. That's just me. I know, I understand that the league is different now. I do. I know these guys are friends. But listen, Draymond has a history of this garbage, man. Okay? He's a douchebag, a loudmouth, who always tries to put players down around the league like if he's some great player, which he never has been. He's a very good player, and he's riding the coattails of Steph Curry and the great Warrior teams, in my opinion. That's a story for another day. But a really, really, really good glue guy and championship caliber player as far as what his role was for that team. But he has this thing and this arrogance about himself in the league. and he feels like he has this like personal thing with Cat all the time. I just felt like as a Knicks team, now maybe if our captain was there, it would have been a little different. Maybe they would have followed his lead a little more. Maybe that wouldn't have happened. But I was not a fan of them doing that. You know, I just think you got to stand by your teammate. Cat walked off the court. I just feel like, hey, give him a little deuce from – you want to be respectful, keep it moving. Stick with your guy. I'm not saying you got to go out there and throw a dude on the ground and on the court and start a fight. I realize that's not today's NBA. I wouldn't have been mad if we would have saw that, though. But I would have been mad if we would have did that because I can't stand Draymond Green. But and he really needs to be put in his place by somebody in this world out here. But listen, they didn't do that. Not a fan of that. Stick by your guy. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? If you see Cat is uncomfortable with that, and I understand, I wasn't even thrilled with Cat's comments about, I'm going to approach this with love and all. I understand that he don't want to get into those things. He's thinking about winning games and all that. But when you saw on the court, there was a situation where he was arguing with Draymond. You know, Draymond calling him soft, and he called him a whole ass nigga and all that. When you saw all of that, you got to stick by your guy. You got to stick by your guy, man. Bottom line. I don't even want to. I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it. You know, I just don't want to see that. I need to see my team together as one. So hopefully that I never see that again. I was not a fan of that. I'm not going to act like I was. Okay. But I just need the Knicks to get that together. Stand by your teammates, because we all know if that was the captain. Because I saw last year in the playoffs in Philly when Embiid was doing that dirty-ish, you know, when I think there was a play he did some extracurriculars with Brunson, and Brunson stepped to him like, yo, what's that? What you doing that for? And then guys got involved and they broke it up, and that was the end of it. I just felt like you got to do that. You got to stick by your teammates. So hopefully, you know, they get the message and they go forward. But the Knicks respond tonight. Good win. Before we wrap up the show, as we are going to wrap up this show tonight, I had to get that out of my system about the team. But the next game will be against the San Antonio Spurs Wednesday night. Listen, not an easy game. Road games are always tough, especially late in the year. Knicks got to go out there and take care of business. They don't have Wemby. I get all that. Don't play with your food, Knicks. And we all know the Knicks struggle in back-to-back games. They got a game against San Antonio Wednesday, and then Thursday they got a game against Charlotte. So let's not play with our food. Let's go get these two games and get these dubs and go forward. And that's what we need. And hopefully that continues for this New York Knicks team. So at the end of the day, that's the results. Knicks get a big win tonight. They beat the Heat 116-95 and sweep the season series for the first time in 30 years against the Miami Heat. And man, does that feel good. I'm going to sleep good tonight. So that's going to wrap up today's show. Thanks for tuning in. Knicks Nation, salute. I just ask one thing, that you do me a favor and like and subscribe to this channel, Born for Sports, because I talk all sports. I talk New York Knicks basketball. Yes, sir. Big time Knicks fan. We getting closer and closer to the end of this season, the stretch drive. Playoffs are on deck soon. Let's hurry up and get this third seed and go forward. Yes, and I talk these New York football Giants, big time New York Giants fan. What are the Giants going to do about a quarterback? I like the moves in free agency, but I need a quarterback, and I need a franchise quarterback in the draft. What are the Giants going to do? Going to have some content soon on that. Yes, and I talk New York Mets baseball. 1 week away, folks. We're 1 week away from opening day and baseball season getting started. Going to be plenty of content to come on baseball, New York Mets especially. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I talk sports, man. I talk about the Yankees. I talk about the Jets. I talk about the Brooklyn Nets. I talk about whatever you want to talk about in the world of sports, especially New York sports. Knicks Nation, salute. Thanks for chopping it up with me tonight. Knicks win another big game against the Heat 116-95. Like and subscribe to Born for Sports. Let's go Knicks.